These workers had been fired by the company, and out of desperation, they decided to head into the deadly Black Sea, where a legendary treasure had been hidden for decades. But it didn't seem likely that any of them would return. The story begins with a man named Robin, a naval scientist working for a private company. His job was to dive into the ocean's depths, search for lost treasures, and uncover ancient artifacts. Robin had accomplished countless impossible missions and brought huge profits to the company. But one day, everything in his life collapsed. His manager delivered shocking news: Robin was being fired. The company had replaced human workers with advanced robotic machines that performed even better than people. Because of that, they no longer needed employees like him. Robin was devastated. He had given years of loyalty, and this was the result. The company didn't want to take losses by keeping humans when robots could do the work more efficiently. Life had not been kind to Robin. His wife had left him, and his son lived with her. Now, with no family and no job, he had no idea how he would survive without income. Frustrated and hopeless, Robin went straight to a bar where his two friends, Curtin and Blackie, were already sitting. Shockingly, they had both been fired too, leaving all three men unemployed with no way to earn a dollar. Robin and Curtin looked completely stressed about their future, while Blackie seemed lost in deep thought. Suddenly, an idea struck him, and he shared it with the others. He started talking about a submarine that had mysteriously disappeared inside the Black Sea a century ago. Robin and Curtin had never heard this story, so Blackie explained further. Long ago, Russia and Germany had made a secret agreement. Russia had promised to give Germany a portion of gold from its mines, and they were determined to make sure this treasure was never stolen. So they decided to transport all of it by submarine, taking the dangerous route through the Black Sea. At the time, everything seemed under control. They even arranged their most advanced submarine, a vessel that had successfully completed every mission it had ever been assigned. But what Russia didn't know was that the Black Sea was a place filled with mysteries, a region from which no one had ever returned alive. Still, confident in their submarine, they loaded it with gold and began the journey. According to reports, the submarine vanished somewhere deep in the Black Sea, along with all the gold it carried. No one knew how to recover such an enormous treasure because people were too terrified to enter the Black Sea. Hearing this, Robin and Curtin questioned Blackie. If even a massive military submarine couldn't make it out, how were they supposed to survive? Blackie hinted that if they managed to reach the Black Sea and recover the lost treasure, they would have so much gold that they'd never need to work again. It was dangerous, but not impossible. To reach the treasure, they would have to slip past Russian and German soldiers before even entering the lethal waters of the Black Sea. The mission sounded impossible, but as Blackie explained, some underground organizations don't care about government rules and specialize in handling illegal operations. If an organization can make huge profits, they won't hesitate to break the rules. So Blackie takes Robin and Curtin to one such illegal group. Representatives from the organization meet with them and want to discuss the mission. By now, all three men have realized that their former company is also searching for the same treasure. That only fuels their determination. They want to find the gold before the company does, as payback for firing such loyal workers. When they present their plan to the wealthy businessman funding this illegal operation, he becomes instantly greedy after hearing how massive the profit could be. Without wasting a second, he agrees to finance the mission. Obviously, recovering a treasure this enormous wouldn't be possible with small resources. They would need multiple submarines, advanced equipment, and thousands of dollars, all of which the businessman agrees to provide. But he sets one condition: the profits must be split 50-50, and if they find more gold than expected, he gets a share of that too. Robin and his friends know the businessman is thinking only about his own gain, but they don't have any other source of funding, and they desperately need the money. So they accept the deal and receive the funds. Robin wastes no time and uses his contacts to recruit skilled people who, like him, had been fired from the company. Each new member is an expert in their field. Robin also brings in a few Russians to help them navigate Russian-controlled waters. Together, they carefully map out their route and plan how they'll survive the Black Sea's deadly conditions long enough to reach the location where the treasure sank. The entire team works tirelessly, day and night, to prepare for the mission. But the next day, Robin receives shocking news. Robin learned that Curtin, his close friend and teammate, had fallen into severe depression from all the stress and had taken his own life. The news devastated Robin, who understood how much Curtin had been struggling. Curtin had a relative named Toby, so Robin invited Toby to join the team and promised that Curtin's share of the treasure would now go to him. After days of hard work, the team gathered everything needed for the mission, and the day finally arrived for them to head to the harbor. The businessman had assigned a captain to guide them and take them to a massive submarine that would carry them into the depths of the Black Sea. When Robin and the others saw the submarine, it looked completely outdated from the outside, rusty, worn out, and far from reliable. Robin doubted whether they could survive the Black Sea in something that looked so old. But once inside, he saw that the digital systems were functioning perfectly. His team immediately began a full security inspection to make sure everything was safe. After gathering all the necessary information from the captain, Robin felt confident enough to proceed with the mission. However, during the inspection, he noticed a serious problem: they had very few life jackets. He knew the waters they were entering were extremely dangerous and filled with unknown creatures and terrifying mysteries capable of destroying a submarine in seconds. Not wanting to scare the team, he kept this concern to himself. Robin also realized they only had a radio system instead of the satellite communication setup he had requested. Using radio signals inside Russian territory would reveal their location to Russian military forces, turning their mission into a suicide run. If the military detected them, soldiers would arrive instantly and kill them without hesitation. But the only communication device available on the submarine was the radio phone, so Robin strictly instructed his team that no one was allowed to turn it on without his permission. Everything was ready, and the entire crew was prepared to head toward the Black Sea. Though fear lingered among them, everyone knew that no one had ever returned alive from its depths. Still, they had no choice but to find the treasure. The submarine dove deep into the water, beginning their mission officially, and dangers immediately surrounded them, not just from sea creatures lurking below but also from Russian soldiers and naval officers patrolling the region. If their submarine appeared on any radar, the military would fire instantly, leaving no survivors. Robin gathered his team to talk, and everyone listened carefully as he reminded them that they needed to work together as one. If they found the treasure, they might never need to work again. They could buy homes and never worry about money again. The hope on their faces was clear. But then Robin shocked everyone by revealing a truth he had kept hidden. The businessman funding their mission would keep more than half the treasure for himself. The crew would only receive the remaining half, divided among all of them. Hearing this for the first time infuriated the team. They felt betrayed, angry that such an important detail had been hidden. Many of them stormed off in frustration, saying they never would have come if they'd known. Robin tried to reassure them that even half the treasure would be more than enough for all of them, but tensions were high. At that moment, a man named Daniel stepped forward and told Robin they shouldn't react this way. Daniel explained that if everyone learned the treasure would be divided among many members, greed and anger could easily take over. The more people involved, the smaller each share would become, and that could push them to turn on each other, destroying any unity they had left. But Robin refused to lie to them. He believed the team deserved to know the truth before the mission truly began. By now, the submarine had traveled a long distance, but before reaching the Black Sea, they still had to cross Russian territorial waters and avoid military patrols. That was the hardest part, getting past the Russian Navy without being detected by their radar systems. Soon, chaos broke out inside the submarine as some Russian crew members attacked the others, furious that they had risked their lives while a businessman would still take a large share of the treasure. Tempers flared, and the situation nearly spiraled out of control. When Robin learned what was happening, he rushed in and shouted at them to stop, reminding everyone that at this rate, they wouldn't survive long enough to even see the treasure. He assured them that even the half they would receive was more than enough to start new lives, as long as they stuck together and worked as a team. His fierce tone shocked the crew, and they finally calmed down and returned to their tasks. After hours of traveling, the submarine crossed into Russian naval territory. Suddenly, the pilot warned them that a Navy ship with active radar was directly ahead. If detected, they would be blown apart instantly. Panicking, Robin ordered every device shut down. No lights, no sound, not even a whisper. Everyone held their breath as the ship passed right above them. If the crew had spotted an unidentified submarine, missiles would have followed. Fortunately, luck was on their side, and the ship moved on without detecting them. Relieved, Robin and the rest of the crew resumed their mission, pushing deeper toward the Black Sea. Robin and his crew had finally overcome one major problem. Now all that was left was to dive into the Black Sea and locate the hidden treasure buried somewhere in its depths. Within a few hours, their submarine had already entered the Black Sea, but that's where the real challenges began. Robin stayed focused, doing his job as captain, but his workers started fighting again. Some of the Russian crew members were obsessed with checking who had won the lottery tickets they bought before the mission, and soon they were arguing non-stop. As the tension escalated, they even switched on the radio to find out who the winner was. The moment Robin heard this, he rushed in and scolded them, immediately switching off the radio. He warned them that any signal could alert the Russian military, exposing their location and putting all their lives at risk. He reminded them that none of them were guaranteed to survive, and even if they did find the treasure, staying alive was the only way they'd ever get to spend it. Furious, Robin grabbed an axe and smashed the radio, saying that keeping it would only bring them more trouble. He ordered everyone to work together or risk dying, and told anyone unwilling to be part of the mission to leave immediately. He was determined to get the treasure no matter what, and he hoped his warning would unite the crew, but he was wrong. As the submarine pushed deeper into the pitch-black waters, the crew scanned their devices for signs of the treasure, unaware that the real danger was already inside the submarine. While everyone was working, a Russian crewman suddenly began yelling at Toby, the newest recruit who was still learning the ropes. Toby had made a mistake, and a Russian named Blackie started shouting at him, only for an American crew member to step in and defend Toby, standing up to Blackie. The fights inside the submarine escalated until the American crewman finally snapped, pulled out a knife, and killed Blackie on the spot. Blackie collapsed and died instantly. Because of all the chaos, no one was paying attention to their actual work, and a small explosion suddenly rocked the submarine. The blast threw the entire vessel off balance, sending it plunging deeper into the Black Sea. The impact was so violent that everyone was knocked unconscious. Hours later, Robin woke up with a deep wound on his head and was horrified to see several crew members burned to death. As the remaining men regained consciousness, they discovered that all the American workers had taken the resources and moved to the other side of the submarine, forming their own group. Robin and the survivors were left together, unsure how they would make it out alive. Hopelessness spread across everyone's faces as they realized they might all die there. Robin forced himself to take control and approach the Russian crew members from the other group, explaining the situation calmly. He made it clear that without teamwork, none of them would survive. Thankfully, the Russians understood and agreed to join forces. Once united, they checked the submarine's position and were stunned to find out they had accidentally drifted right above the legendary Russian shipwreck they'd been searching for. In a strange way, luck was still on their side. All they needed now was to figure out exactly where the treasure was located. But another problem had surfaced. The pilot revealed that the explosion had completely destroyed the sonar system. Without sonar, they had no way to detect any objects or track the treasure in such a massive ocean. The team fell into despair, until the pilot decided to use an old-school navigation technique once used by sailors and explorers long before modern sonar existed. Before explaining that method, it's important to understand how sonar systems actually work inside submarines and ships. A sonar system works by sending out sound waves, and when those waves hit an object at a distance, they bounce back. The system detects these returning echoes and calculates how far the object is and even what its structure might look like. But since the submarine's sonar was destroyed in the explosion, the pilot told his crew to strike the metal walls of the ship with a heavy bar. That impact would create manual sound pulses that would spread through the water. Naturally, those waves would bounce back from anything they collided with. The pilot pressed his ear to the metal and began listening carefully for the returning vibrations. After a long stretch of concentration, he finally detected something. He reported that there was a large, strange-looking rock formation not far to the west and suggested they check it out. Robin then selected 3 crew members, Toby, Peter, and Lit, to put on diving suits and investigate the location. The 3 men exited the submarine into total darkness and slowly moved toward the direction the pilot had indicated. When they reached the site, they found what appeared to be a small sand-covered rock. Its structure was unlike anything they had ever seen. They relayed the information, and Robin ordered them to break it open. As the 3 of them brushed away the upper layer, they froze in shock. Beneath the sand was the long-lost Russian ship that had sunk there decades ago. When Robin and the others heard the news, the entire crew erupted with excitement. They quickly ordered the divers to enter the wreck and search for the treasure. Once inside the ship, they explored its interior and found old photographs of Hitler and the skeletons of several soldiers, confirming they were in the right place. Then, while scanning the wreckage, they noticed something glowing faintly in the dark. It was gold, shimmering, unmistakable gold, as if calling out to them. Their excitement was overwhelming. This was exactly what they had come for, and they had found it in massive quantities. The gold weighed more than a ton, enough to make every one of them incredibly rich. Toby, Peter, and Lit quickly loaded as much of it as they could into a trolley and began pulling it through the wreck. The load was so heavy that even moving it an inch took effort. Still, the 3 of them pushed forward, determined to get the treasure back to the submarine. But then the trolley sank into the soft seabed and began to tilt, causing several gold bars to fall out. Peter refused to let even a single bar be lost, so he went after them. He didn't realize that the area beside the trolley dropped into a deep underwater pit with no way back up. His foot slipped, and before Toby and Lit could react, Peter fell into the abyss. The two men were devastated, they couldn't save him. Somehow, they managed to pull the trolley free and dragged it back into the submarine. Everyone felt a bittersweet mix of joy and grief. They had struck gold, but they had also lost another crewmate. Robin reminded them that they had no choice but to keep going. Several team members were already dead, and they still needed more hands to operate the damaged submarine. He asked Daniel to join the remaining crew. But Daniel, already crushed by everything happening around him, was hiding a dark truth he could no longer keep to himself. After witnessing so many deaths, he finally confessed. He told Robin that the businessman who promised to fund this mission never gave a single dollar. The funding had actually come from Robin's former company, which had secretly partnered with the businessman. Their real plan was to use Robin to retrieve the gold, then kill him and the crew when they returned so the company could keep everything. Daniel also revealed the most shocking truth of all. Robin's trusted friend Curtin wasn't dead, he was the one who leaked every detail of the mission to the company. Hearing all this made Robin's head spin. His own friends had betrayed him. He had poured his heart and soul into completing this mission, and now the moment they returned, they were supposed to be killed. The remaining workers on the submarine exploded with anger at Daniel, ready to tear him apart for hiding the truth. If Robin hadn't arrived in time, they would have killed him. Robin calmed everyone down and reminded them that this wasn't the time for rage, they needed to think. They had the gold, but now they had to figure out how to survive. Ben, an American worker, openly said that survival was impossible, but Robin already had a plan. He proposed that they head toward Turkey, their only chance of escape. The problem was the maze of massive underwater rock formations they would have to navigate. One wrong move and the submarine would crash and explode. Still, going back meant certain death at the hands of the company. Robin explained everything to the pilot, who immediately changed course toward the rocky region. Everyone worked in tight coordination, except for Ben, who was secretly plotting something else. He told Daniel the plan was suicidal, and Daniel, shaken, allowed himself to be manipulated. Together they decided to sabotage the mission. Ben suddenly attacked and killed a key worker responsible for managing the submarine's controls. With fewer hands, operating the already damaged vessel became nearly impossible. The submarine was now passing over the treacherous underwater cliffs, where even a slight miscalculation would cause the hull to scrape against the jagged rocks. Robin had no idea what Ben was doing behind the scenes. Moments later, the massive submarine slammed into the rock walls, grinding violently against them. A powerful explosion shook the vessel once again, and seawater began flooding inside. The blast from the ruptured chamber killed several workers instantly. The submarine lost all balance and began sinking uncontrollably into the darkest depths of the Black Sea. It felt like the end. Every control system had failed, every device had short-circuited from the flooding seawater. Robin, barely staying on his feet, dragged his remaining crewmates upward so they wouldn't drown. Toby was completely unconscious, but Robin refused to abandon him. Then came the ultimate betrayal. Daniel sealed the control room door from the inside, trapping everyone else outside as water rushed in. While the others hammered on the door, begging him to unlock it, Daniel chose to save only himself. Within seconds the chamber flooded completely, killing Ben and his accomplices. Robin, miraculously still alive, managed to pull Toby and another worker, Lit, through a narrow maintenance passage. They emerged inside the control room, but even that was now filling with icy seawater. Daniel was still there. As he tried to escape, his belt and clothes caught in the crushed metal door. He screamed for help, calling out to Lit. But Lit had seen enough. Daniel had caused the deaths of half their crew. Instead of helping, he backed away and sealed the next chamber shut. The water kept rising, and Daniel drowned screaming in the darkness. By now, only 3 survivors remained: Robin, Toby, and Lit. But with the submarine dying and the ocean swallowing everything, even they didn't know how long they could last. That was when Robin revealed something he had kept hidden: 3 emergency life jackets he had quietly stolen at the start of the mission. Lit was furious. If Robin had them all this time, why didn't he tell the others? Why didn't he save more lives? Robin answered honestly, if he had revealed the jackets earlier, the desperate crew would have fought over them, and even more people might have died. The 3 of them were the last ones left, and this was the only chance they had. Now the water had nearly filled the control bay. Robin forced Toby and Lit to put on the life jackets immediately. They needed to leave the submarine now, or they would all be swallowed by the Black Sea. Robin explained that their submarine had 2 escape pods, and he told Lit and Toby to climb in one at a time and head to the surface. But Lit hesitated. He realized that if both of them left, Robin would be the only one left behind, and someone still needed to pull the manual release lever. That would trap Robin underwater forever. Robin calmly assured them that the submarine had one final emergency pod, one he could control from inside without needing anyone else. So he urged them not to worry about him and to go. Once they were convinced, Lit and Toby hurried into the escape pod, and Robin pulled the lever that launched them upward. Within moments, their pod shot toward the surface. But after reaching the open sea, they realized the heartbreaking truth: Robin wasn't coming up. He had accepted his fate and chosen to spend his final moments inside the submarine. His family was gone, his life had fallen apart, and he no longer had anyone waiting for him above the water. With nowhere left to go and nothing left to live for, Robin had decided to stay behind. He lit a cigarette, looked at his family's photo one last time, and waited as the rising water filled the final chamber. Eventually the Black Sea swallowed the entire submarine, leaving no trace and no explanation. While waiting on the surface, Lit and Toby saw another life jacket float up. At first, they thought it might be Robin, but when they retrieved it, they found it packed with gold bars. Robin had used his final moments not to save himself but to send them the treasure instead, ensuring his crew could live comfortably for the rest of their lives. Robin never imagined his sacrifice would change so many futures, and with that powerful and emotional ending, the story closes.